Hey guys, Chris O'Hearn here with Strong Within, taking you on a midday walk here in eastern Tennessee. I'll share some of this with you. Some of the sky, all this stuff. And what I wanted to talk about today was being open to all possibilities, being open to being connected, to working with the universe, working with God, however you want to speak that term, whatever your beliefs are, is to be more in alignment, to be in a higher vibrational energy, to allow greater things into your life, to create greater things into your life. I always talk about being open to all possibilities. Doesn't mean that you can't have goals or you can't have outcomes, but I know the universe has always had better plans for me than I had for myself. And you probably have had that happen where you're like, man, I couldn't have ever dreamed this to be in this spot. And working with some of my mindset success coaching clients and a course that I'm going through, it's a goal setting course, I was talking with them and I sent out these, we were talking about persistency and resilience, consistency and diligence. And in this email I sent out, I said, to those who are diligent, the pathway will be revealed. And it sounds self-explanatory. Hey, if I do this, if I get outside of my comfort zone, if I'm diligent enough, if I'm consistent enough, if I push myself, then I'll get what I want. And yes, definitely true. If we do things, if we push ourselves, if we get out of our comfort zone, we can have greater things. We can have a better life. We can have the things that we truly want in our lives. But as I was saying, I think we work against the universe by thinking in action. This cause and effect. If I do this, I will get this. If I'm good, then I'll get good things back. Yes, I do believe in the karmic aspect of the universe of what I put out is returned. And that's really what it's coming back to, is what are you really putting out there? Because the universe doesn't speak in actions. That's only a portion of it. The universe actually speaks in energy. And so what we do is we say we want these things, we hope for these things, and then right after we state it, we think about it. It's like, well, I could never have that. I'm not meant to do that. Or we feel in our bodies that tightness, that fear, the solar plexus tighten up, our heart get nervous, these things of this doubt, of this feeling within us. And so we create this energy that we put into the universe, and I believe the universe doesn't give us good or bad, it just is rebounding what we're putting out into it. The universe is like a mirror, it's just reflecting what we are giving it. And so a lot of times we are focusing on our unworthiness, or that we're not good enough yet, or that we need to be somewhere else, to do something else, and then we can have that. And for the people who create, who see life in energy and understand that the alignment patterns is they see things happen quicker. We'll look at someone and say, oh, it's just luck that happened to them. Yeah, it could be. But it's that they've learned to project a different energy. They've learned to create, to be magicians in this life rather than to be takers and trying to scrap and trying to scrounge and trying to survive and save. And they create a different energy. They focus on abundance instead of lack. They focus on growth and expansion instead of decreasing or shrinking, or I was trying to think of another word of decompressing and all that stuff. And so what energy are you putting out there? Yes, the way that we think, the way that we speak, and the way that we act will create that energy out there. But also, when we do that over and over again, we are creating patterns within ourselves. We are teaching our subconscious on what we believe. And the subconscious doesn't know the difference between fact or fiction. It just knows what you tell it over and over again. It's this computer, and you're putting this program into it, and you are ultimately telling yourself of what you can or can't do, of what you're worthy for or not worthy for. And so it's about looking at the patterns that are keeping you out of alignment with the potentiality of the universe, because the universe is ever abundant. You are ever abundant, but we get into this energy of looking at impossibility thinking rather than possibility thinking. And when we get to always finding the problems, always seeking the problems, doesn't mean we can't look at the problems, but we get stuck in the problems. So the universe speaks in energy. How are you aligning your energy up with the universe? How are you speaking? How are you acting? How are you thinking? How are you moving in your life every single day to ask, am I in alignment with the places I want to be? Or am I always telling myself, well, I can't be there? And then that universe is giving me returning exactly what I'm putting out there. For me, I dealt with depression and suicidal thoughts for a good portion of my younger life because I talked about my unworthiness. I talked about how I wasn't good enough, that God made a mistake in my creation. I didn't have a purpose because I didn't know what my purpose was, so I must not have one. And then what happened was, saying those things over and over again, it just became my belief system. I didn't have to put any energy into that anymore, and I was admitting that all the time. And even though great things were coming into my life, I still couldn't see it. I couldn't accept it. Someone would be nice to me, I'd be like, they just want something from me, or they feel bad for me. And then I couldn't see the truth that was the reality that was really happening. I was only seeing the reality that I created. And that's why I talk about truth as subjective, because we are creating our truth all the time. There are people with the placebo effect, the nocebo effect, who are sick and they believe that a drug or they believe some sort of method will heal them, and they find a way to heal themselves because they believed it. They found a way to make their body, their energy, their mind, their whole being to understand that sickness was no longer a part of them. And so when we want to be open to the universe, first of all, yes, it's about understanding the universe speaks in energy, not just in action. And the next thing is, when we get stuck, and even not when we're stuck, but I'll say the stuck part because it's the easiest thing. When we get stuck, it's easy to focus on those problems, to focus on giving up, to focus on this is too hard, we're not meant for these things. But whenever I've been stuck, when I'm mindful, I come back to the aspect of saying, am I in alignment with my values? Because what happens is we live in this society where this cause and effect, if I do this, I will get this. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but again, what is the energy that we're putting out? And so if I am asking myself, because here's what we're doing. We're saying, again, if I do this, I'll get this. But I think it's about changing the whole equation and saying, if I be this, if I am in alignment with the values that I've set for myself, and then I do this, then I will have this. And it's even more than having that, because that's where I'm saying the universe has always given me something greater than I wanted. When I was focusing on being in alignment with the person, with my values, that I said that I am, that I wanted to be, life was easier. There were less conflict in my decisions, because if there's conflict, I would ask, is this in alignment? Is this decision that I'm wanting to make in alignment with these type of values that I have for myself? Most of us don't know our values. We say, oh yeah, I know my values, of course I do. But a lot of us have never really kind of sat down and thought about them. My values are health, connection, support, appreciation, and hope. And so these things, I am always asking myself when I'm mindful of it, because I'm not always mindful, and I'm asking, is this in alignment with my values? You get to that point where you just do it over and over again, it just becomes natural. But when we get stuck, it's easy to get out of alignment, and I believe that when we are stuck, we come back to, instead of trying to act and say, well, I want to be out of this, it's asking, who do I want to be in this? And that's what's going on with COVID right now. That's what's going on with our jobs and all these other things. I'm not saying I wanted this to go on, but it was so easy to focus on what we didn't have, the problems that were going on, the struggles that were going on, and how we're going to be able to pay our bills or what we're going to do. And I understand all that stuff was going on. But how I saw some of this aspect was, how is this a chance for me to be creative, to step outside of my box? Because I have friends who have been laid off, furloughed, and other things like that. And actually, they've applied for other jobs, and they've got these jobs that they're dream jobs that they never would have gone to if they wouldn't have had this thing come to them. I'm not saying I want bad things to happen. I don't want that to happen. But there's always something in the moment that we can learn from. And that's that third point that I want to talk about, is that we get so caught saying, let's be mindful, let's be in the moment. And I think it's good to be in the moment. But what happens is we get so caught in looking in the problems of the moment, and we get stuck there. It's like your life is a novel. And so this thing will happen on day to day. And I was about to say day one, but I'll say today. So something happens that's unfortunate. And it's easy to get lost in that problem. And maybe in the beginning you're like, oh, okay, well, hey, that's, it's just bad luck and all that stuff. But then the problem happens tomorrow. It's like, oh, two things now. My coffee wasn't warm when I was about ready to go to work. Oh, I started a little bit late, so then there's traffic. And it's like, what else is going to happen next? And it's all these small, stupid things that build up into these huge things. And I'm not saying we can't look at the problem, but what happens is we get stuck looking in the moment and we define that as our lives instead of saying, this is one word in my novel. This is one sentence. This is one page in my novel. And so we don't step back and see the bigger picture. Because when I'm mindful and there's something extremely hard that I'm going through, it's easy for me to get caught in the self-pity, to get caught in the depression of why things don't work, why it's always this way, how I'm going to be alone and how I'm going to be not where I want to be and I'm going to be unfortunate for the rest of my life and get into this self-pity aspect. It's easy for me to get there. But when I'm mindful and I'm feeling that tightness in my solar plexus, I've trained myself to awaken when that happens, that my solar plexus will awaken my subconscious, and my subconscious will say, this, you are not in alignment with where you want to be and who you say you are. And so then that's where the work comes in, because I could stand and say, well, it sucks, I don't want to do anything, this is just the way life is, and I could continue telling that story. Or I'm awakened and I pivot, and this is what I like to say when this is going on, when there's something really extremely hard or even something I'm going through that's difficult. There's a lesson here. There's something that I'm meant to get out of this. What is it? And I think too, like if you heard my voice change, because I had forgotten about this, it then becomes excitement because it's like this mystery. It's about the scavenger hunt to find the beauty in the moment, to find the lesson in the problem, to find the growth in the problem, because every single problem that I've gone through, that you have gone through, was not meant to break us, but to strengthen us. The body, the mind, the soul is all about expansion, is all about growth. And the only way we do that is we have certain resistance. We have things that we don't necessarily want to go through that feel uncomfortable, but that actually make us better. And so to be more open to having a better life, a greater life, to having the things that you want, to feeling the way that you want to feel. It's, again, about being open to all possibilities with the universe, but it's these three things. It's about understanding what is the energy that you're putting out. The universe doesn't speak in actions, that's part of it. It speaks in energy. What are you putting out there? And then are you living by your values? Are you being before doing? Are you being in alignment in every single decision, in every single motion, in every single thought, in every single word spoken? Is that in alignment with the person you say you are and the person that you want to be? And then that last one is stepping back to seeing the bigger picture, that there's more in every single moment. I know it sounds cliche, but when you truly step back and see the beauty of a moment, there is so much in a moment. But we've decided to live in the past, to say this is the way life is. I experienced this yesterday. I know what I need to do in my job. I know what I need to do with my family and all these things. And then we are never creating. We're always living in the past. And then all those things we're rejecting. The gifts of the universe, we're stalling those gifts. And we're keeping us from feeling the way we want to feel, having the things we want to have, and being the people that we want to be. So thanks for listening, guys. I'm sending great energy your way. If you need anything, you got any questions, or you just need to talk with someone, reach out to me. I'm always working with new clients in my success and mindset coaching to help you to reach and to be who you want to be. If you just like have a discussion and just get my thoughts on things, it doesn't even have to be that I sell you on anything. Maybe you might use my services, maybe not. But if there's something where I can just be there to listen, to hear you out, to maybe just give you a different thought process, I'm here for you. So you guys have a great one. I appreciate you. Get a little winded, I'm walking up a hill, but thanks for being here. Let's go out and let's be strong within as we put our best lives forward.